like maps? How about a detailed hand-drawn map that reflects your favorite people, places, and things? Visit Cartograph Me on Instagram or Facebook and see the possibilities and the works of artist Philip Bailey. Remember, Cartograph Me, putting you on the map. This is the start of your new life, Brian. A life full of colors, music, light, and euphoria. A life without pain, or hurt, or suffering. Well, except for the suffering when the Shea Brigade makes fun of me. Brain damage is now.
It's funny. One night you go to bed, and when you wake up, everything is different. Now Brian's acting a little peculiar.
He's like a completely different person. I don't even know him anymore.
Something's gotten into him.
Sometimes everything glows with a different kind of light.
Deep into him.
What are you telling me, that we killed someone last night?
Something bad.
Attack me, Brian. Attack me.
Something slimy.
What are you doing?
Something very...
I know something's happened to you.
very...
Hell is that?
hungry.
You can't keep killing people every time you're hungry.
You're mine now, Brian. I own you.
Gotta get out of here fast. Go where?
You're a wreck, Brian.
Leave me alone!
Whenever you want to stop hurting, you come to me.
Brain damage. It will turn you inside out.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
Stop the prime time, bitch!
Long live the new Fletch.
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
We've got to return some videotapes.
Hello, horror hounds, and welcome to the It Slays podcast. I'm your humble host, Rowan.
It's Xylia.
And this is the sugar sweat on an old piece of chocolate Mike.
And we are back. I'm not even sure what that meant.
Me either.
But...
Why sugar sweat?
Oh, don't you know it's the, like, when you have a piece of chocolate and, like, it gets, like, warm and cold a few times, usually when it's older, and you, like, look at it and it's got the, like, kind of white stuff crusted onto it? Haven't you ever had a piece of chocolate that, like,
no.
had sweat, like, it sweats, and then when the sweat dries, it, like, draws the, like, sugar out? So...
Oh, I actually do know what you're talking about.
Oh my god.
Right
Listen,
away.
Me here, like, I'm a chocoholic, but I will also, like, I'm both a chocoholic and I have no self-control, but I also am a compulsive hoarder, so I will, like, literally, when I moved last time, I found jars of salsa that were best before 2016 and stuff, because I was like, oh, I gotta save it for when I'm hungry one night, and I got somebody over, and, like, we needed a jar of salsa.
If
and
you feed me
too
a jar...
drunk to go to the store.
If you ever feed me a jar of salsa that's 5 years old...
Oh my god,
I'm
funny
never
story
coming to your house
that is
again.
unrelated to horror movies. At my old place many years ago, we're talking like over 10 years ago, we were having a party because we were the party house. I kept things in the fridge that should have been thrown out like 2 months ago. And one of our friends decided that she brought over whatever, like her mix, like her gin and juice or whiskey and soda, whatever it was. And then she decided, like, oh, I'm going to have some of your gin and, like, make a gin and tonic. So she took this half-drank bottle of tonic water and was making gin and tonics with it. And she was already very drunk and high at this point, so...
And you're like, where did you get that?
Well, I didn't even really notice because, you know, it was a party and I wasn't really paying attention. And, you know, when people talk to me, I'm just like, yep, whatever. Anyway, cut to like an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and she's just in her bathroom puking her guts up, and she cannot figure out why she's puking her guts up. And I was like, did you eat or drink anything weird today? And
Could it be because she was drunk?
Well, this was before, like, she hadn't even, it was like literally like 3 hours after she started drinking. But we have always said that it was what turned out to be 1.5 years old.
Oh my
water.
God.
I'm like, girl, didn't you notice that it was flat as hell? Like,
wow.
Ugh. Hurts my stomach just thinking about it.
I know, right?
I get paranoid even when it's like almost the expiration date.
Expiration dates are a fabrication of the grocery industrial complex.
Intellectually, I know that.
but your paranoid ass.
Yeah.
The anxiety bubbles up inside you, and yeah.
So I do have a question for us this episode.
Okay.
I figured, we haven't talked about it for a while. I want to know what everyone has been reading. Have you been reading any good books lately?
It's funny that you ask that, because I'm actually reading a good book right now.
Ooh, do tell.
Okay, so I'm a little bit of a hipster sometimes, and
really?
I know you've never noticed this about me, but even if it's something that I've always wanted to read, and the timing is right, if everybody else is reading something, or like watching something, or whatnot, I tend to go, nope, I'm not, I don't want to look like I'm jumping on the bandwagon. So one book that I've had on my radar as a reader and a bookseller and everything that is part of me for years has been Joshua Whitehead's Johnny Appleseed.
Oh, yeah.
And of course that recently won Canada Reads, so it's been selling like mad and everybody's after it. And I just, for whatever reason, like the last couple years that it's been out, I've just kept putting it off, and it was just never the right time. And then it happened to be the right time now. I didn't want to, but then I just sucked it up one day and said, no, fuck it, I'm buying it. I'm going to start reading it on the bus on the way home from work. And it is fucking spectacular. I can already see why it won Canada Reads and Governor General's and everything else that it was like nominated for, because it's an excellent, excellent, excellent novel. We love it.
That's a strong recommendation.
Yeah.
How about yourself, Xylia?
So I've been on a bit of a reading binge. I'll just say a couple that I liked. The Skim We're In, A Year of Black Resistance and Power by Desmond Cole was really good. We heard him speak for Rowan's class when we lived in Toronto, and he's very much a proponent of like making people aware that issues like racial issues and anti-black racism aren't just an American thing. So he literally just like wrote about anti-black racism and like very concrete examples of it only in the year 2016 in Toronto, and wrote an entire book about it. So it's like, hey, white people, this happens here too.
Oh, and can I add a little quick note about that book that is kind of drives his point home? When that first came out, like literally the first few days that it was released, the publisher had to pull it from all the shelves because the dust jacket that came on the hardcover, the subtitle is, A Year of Black.
Yeah.
They completely left out the word black in the original print run and had to reprint new dust jackets to be sent out and placed on the copies that had already shipped out to stores and warehouses.
Wow.
So it's just like, to drive the point home, like literally the whole thrust of the book is that it's about the black experience, and they just completely omitted the word black from the cover of the book. So,
well, that's
obviously, it drives his point home.
That's a grave oversight.
Yeah, that's the oversight is like even putting it
mildly.
I had to throw that out there because I thought that was like a kind of tragicomic anecdote.
Yeah, it is. Another book that I'm in the middle of reading, and I have a bit of an attention issue, so sometimes I like skip through from book to book and I haven't finished it, but I really enjoy it. It's an excellent book. It's called A History of My Brief Body.
I'm reading that too.
Are you reading that?
Yes, Billy Ray Belcourt, right?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
I'm reading 2 like indigiqueer books right now.
Oh, amazing.
Feels
yeah,
so left
Johnny
in.
Appleseed is also kind of like a fictional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it like, is there pronoun he or they?
I believe it's he.
He, I think so too. So I looked up his like education because I was like, this guy's like super educated, and you can tell by his writing.
Yeah.
And he has a master's in gender studies, and then or in English, I think, sorry, one or the other. He has a master's and a PhD, and one's in gender studies and one's in English. And I was like, this is where all this like Judith Butler and stuff is like coming from.
Yeah, it's very sophisticated, I guess.
Yes, yeah. You can tell that he's highly
It's
educated.
very literary high.
It's a literary high. It's an excellent book. I think it's really good. And then
I'm not that far into it, but like I agree, what I've read so far is like just spectacular.
Yeah, I gotta finish it. And then I have membership to the Halifax Library, and I've been reading some stuff online, even though I'm tend to be against it, but honestly, they have a lot of good books that I don't have access to otherwise. So the one that I have waiting for me to read is We Have Always Been Here, a queer Muslim memoir, Samra Habib.
Girl, I have that literally on my shelf ready to read.
Yeah?
Like,
Oh my God. Let's do a book
so,
club.
like, on the same page. Sidecast number 743. It slays
book club.
Yeah. No, we should totally. Well, let's read my A History of My Brief Body together.
Yeah, perfect.
What about you, Rowan?
So I've been reading very sophisticated, high-level stuff. Can't remember if I brought it up one of the past episodes, but I like semi-recently, so I just finished. I've been on my Christopher Pike kick.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So I had finished The Midnight Club, and then I went directly into Remember Me, the first book.
Love it.
So I finished that, and I finished R.L. Stein's, I think it's called New Year's Eve Party, or just New Year's Eve.
New Year's Evil, it's called.
Is that what it's
Evil.
called? Yeah, I couldn't remember. But yeah, I've really been enjoying this cheesy 90s foray into Christopher Pike and R.L. Stein horror. And then I, right now, have started reading friend of the podcast, Brad Dunn's The Gut. So I am reading that now.
Yes, order that one online for sure.
Yeah, I did get your copy. So yeah, that's pretty much all I've really been reading. Once I'm done The Gut, I guess I'll probably end up having to pick a new Christopher Pike book. I do want to quickly shout out...
I have many suggestions.
Oh, do you?
1, Monster. 2, Die Softly.
We have
3,
Die Softly.
Whisper of Death. Oh my god, read Die Softly. It's excellent.
And I do have to shout out Mike, because I've been absolutely loving that podcast.
Oh, I'm glad. Yeah.
It's called Teen Creeps.
Teen Creeps, yes.
Teen Creeps.
Oh yeah, you love that.
I absolutely love it, and I'm going to definitely buy a shirt from them. I love their, I just love their gear. And then I also want to shout out, I hope I get it right, is it Friday the 13th?
Yeah.
Podcast? Because they commented on, we posted a picture on Instagram of some of my Christopher Pike collection, and then they actually referred me to another podcast that is, because Teen Creeps is about just anyone in that genre.
Yeah, it's a lot of like kind of thrillery.
Yeah, where they basically gave me one called The Pike Cast.
Oh, I love it.
And it's they look fairly new, but they're awesome, and they also have amazing merch that I'll probably have to buy a shirt from. Just amazing stuff in general. Anyway, enough about Christopher Pike. This isn't Sidecast 9026. The Christopher Pike podcast.
Give it time, it will be.
We got to get into what I think Xylia's been waiting for a long time to talk about. Xylia's pick.
Yeah, Brain Damage.
Brain Damage. 1988.
The year before the best year ever.
Or, as some would say, the year after the best year ever.
I mean, Taylor Swift, hello.
Or me, hello.
Or you, I guess.
So, Xylia.
Yeah.
Do you want to hit us with that bio?
Yeah, sure. Okay, this is the bio for Brain Damage. It's a headache from hell. A normal, average guy who lives in New York City becomes dependent on an evil, disembodied brain. The end.
Okay, I'm pretty sure that whoever wrote that had that thing stuck on theirs, because it's...
This average guy in New York City.
I mean, he was unremarkable, so they're not wrong about that.
I figure we quickly talk about the director. So, Frank Henenlotter is the director who, I think in, horror community, beloved director. He brought us the, Basket Case franchise. So that's exciting. One of Rowan's favorite movies when I was just a young lad.
That's very exciting.
And also, I haven't seen it, but I know it's massively big cult-wise. He directed Frankenhooker, which I know Arrow has a copy out, but I have never seen. Have you ever seen that, Mike? Or
only in video stores when I was a tyke. Other than that, I have never actually viewed that movie, and I feel like it has been a blind spot in my cult classic.
Yeah,
library of personally viewed movies.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to look at it someday and talk about it. And then not really anything on the actor end. So we don't really have much to talk about there. I guess I said I briefly mentioned Rick Hurst is the star of it. I didn't know him, but apparently he's like a soap opera man. He's been on like every soap opera ever. He had like long stints on General Hospital and like, I don't know.
The Bold and the Beautiful.
The Bold and the Beautiful and stuff like that. He's been on all of them. Yeah, nothing magnificent on that.
You name a soap opera, he's been on it.
That's right. So, Xylia, why don't you tell us about the Bechdel test?
Well, the Bechdel test is a test for visual media to see how one-dimensional or multi-dimensional women are portrayed as. So, there are a couple things that you want to look at. Are there more than one woman? I mess this up every time. Are there multiple women in a scene? Are they named? Do they talk about something other than a man or a relationship? And also, my added feature, does it meet the criteria for intersectionality? Well, let me tell you about Brain Damage.
Oh, I've been waiting for this all day.
I believe there's only 2 women in the entire movie.
You're correct. No, there's 3.
Who's the third?
There's the girlfriend, the neighbor, and I'm counting the girl at the club.
Yes, okay. So I forgot about the neighbor. So there's the neighbor, as Mike said. Then there's the girlfriend who's like basically just pining for him the entire time because he's addicted to drugs out of like this thing that looks like a big veiny dick brain. And then there's the girl who he kills at the club with Aylmer. And that is it. And I mean, because the girlfriend's pining for him, like pretty much everything she ever talks about is about him. And then the girl at the club literally just gets her brains eaten out while she's thinking she's giving him a blowjob, but really it's just Aylmer. So, yeah. I feel like it fails.
Miserably, one might say.
I really had a lot of anticipation on whether it failed or passed.
Yeah, I think it's a very clear fail.
It's one might even say a spectacular failure.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about first experiences. We'll start with you, Xylia.
So my first experiences with this, I think I've mentioned it before, but during October for Halloween, for what's it called, Oktoberfest, I watched a horror movie every day, and then this is one that was on Tubi, I think, or Shudder at the time, and I was like, hey, I think the description has something about psychedelic, and I was like, yeah, okay, this is the movie I'll be watching today, and then I watched it, and I'll tell you later if I loved it or hated it.
I'll go next, because I guess it only makes sense. So, unlike most movies, I feel Xylia saw this one before me.
Yeah, you came home and I made you watch it like the next day.
Yeah, she said, you gotta see this movie, it's crazy.
Don't say if I liked it or not.
Well, I'm just saying you said it's crazy.
Yeah, I said it's crazy.
And I remember I'm like, what is this movie? So I looked it up. I saw the director. I saw he did Basket Case. And I was like, oh shit, I used to love Basket Case when I was young. Like I used to rent that from the video store all the time. So that was my first time seeing it. And I mean, that was only in October. And I've seen it, like, we've seen this a couple times, I feel.
Yeah, this was my third time.
From people watching it. Mike, how about you?
Before you suggested it, I can honestly say I had never heard of it other than confusing Brain Dead with this every time you brought it up. And so when I watched it for this recording, it was the first time I'd seen it. So that's my entire sordid history with it.
He's fresh.
You're fresh.
I was a fresh set of eyes and ears and lobes. Frontal, parietal, occipital, and temporal lobes.
I say we get into it and let's review this sucker.
Okay.
Let's start off. You know where we're going. Favorite scene, Mike.
That is a tough one. There were so many amazing set pieces in that movie that it's just... Honestly, I'll have to say the hallucination scene, I'm gonna call it, actually, now that I think about it, proto, by many years, train spotting scene where he's trying to, like, you know, come clean from the Aylmer drugs in the hotel room, and he starts like pulling the brains or whatever it is, this string of stuff out of his ear, and it's like a fucking clown's rope of handkerchiefs. And then his ear pops out. Just for whatever reason, I actually thought that was like kind of fun and a little bit creepy too, I gotta say. I'll give it that. Except when it started gushing out, and then I was like, okay, this is now back to over the top, so that's fine. But yeah, that whole scene, like, of him in that fucking hotel closet, we'll call it, because it's not really a room. But that part of that scene in particular was kind of the one that stayed with me.
I love this, like, certain quote from that. And so, do you want me to read the scene?
Sure.
Okay, so it's like Aylmer says, "You're a wreck, Brian. You've got to relax. Why don't you put me on your neck and calm down?" And Brian says, "No way. It's not going to happen again." And Aylmer says, "What isn't?" And Brian says, "Killing people." And Aylmer says, "Oh, ha ha ha. I thought you meant getting high." And I just, like, love that part for some reason. I love Aylmer, like...
But it's just so funny the way that it's this, like, thousands of years old or whatever thing that, like, just the way he speaks is just so contemporary.
Yeah.
You know, there was not even an attempt to, like, polish up the dialogue for that one particular thing. It's like, let's just have him talk like he's just right off the streets in the 80s.
Yeah. That's the thing. He's, like, as old as the Crusades. And it's like...
Yeah, right, exactly.
And I should have done better research. I forget the guy's name, but apparently the guy did the voice is, like, some, like, legendary, like, horror actor.
And his uncle did... What did he do?
Yeah, like, his uncle...
Hold on. I'm looking
It's some weird thing. But, while Xylia looks it up, I'll talk about my favorite scene. It's kind of a cheat. I mean, my favorite scene is really anything with Aylmer.
Of course.
I mean, he's just hilarious. Like, the first time I saw this, and his voice came on, and I'm just like, what? Like, my brain didn't compute. I'm like, this is the voice they went with for this, like, monster.
But that's what's so great about it.
Well, and it's what's so, like, endearing about it. But if I had to pick, like, a real scene that I love, I'm probably gonna have to go with the absurdity of the girl at the club basically being, like, face fucked by Aylmer, who's really just eating her brains from the inside of her mouth.
When someone uses the phrase skull fuck, that's what they're talking about right there.
This movie may have created that. And it was funny because I was reading that there's not a whole lot about the movie, but I saw like some like fun fact stuff about it, and apparently when they shot that scene, the crew was so disgusted that most of the crew just left and refused to be present while shooting that scene. Which, I mean, I feel is kind of this director's MO, is just these weird, gross out absurdities.
I didn't realize when I watched it that it was the guy that did like Frankenhooker and Basket Case and all that, and then I was like, everything makes sense now. Like, if I'd known that going in, I probably would have looked at it a bit differently, but there we go.
So the guy who does Aylmer's voice is named John Zacharelry? I don't know. Anyways, it's something like that. And he was the uncle of Bonnie Zacharel, who is the creator of My Little Pony.
Oh, wow. So he's like in the family of the original, like, Pony Dynasty. The Bronies. The Brony Dynasty. Yeah.
The Brony Dynasty.
That's amazing. Before we get too far in it,
I'll let you know my scene. My favorite scene. No, I didn't.
Oh.
I was gonna say, we're skipping over something here.
We better go back to Xylia.
Okay, so I have a favorite scene and a favorite kill. Well, obviously the favorite kill is the one at the club. Besides, like, the consent issues, but, yeah, I just thought that was
from a mechanical standpoint, I understand, yeah.
And then my favorite scene's the one where he, like, gets the Elmer's juice and then goes to the junkyard and, like, is hallucinating.
Very Nightmare on Elm Street, the junkyard.
I love the colors.
Yeah, the colors were lovely, actually. I wish they had, like, done it a bit more as, like, the lights coming out of the crushed up cars. That would have been cool, but I'm like, clearly the budget was $2, so, you know.
Well, there's this scene where he's on the bed and he rolls over and his arm sticks out and the floor turns into that, like, blue, basically the liquid from his head. And I'm like, it's very low budget looking, but that is.
But that was what they blew their whole budget on. You can tell, because that was actually quite well done.
But it's like, it's very endearing too. Like, it really adds a charm to it. Yeah, because it's like this homemade, do-it-yourself feel that's just really well done. I was gonna say, like, before we get too much into the movie, I think we really need to try to explain to the viewers... Listeners, viewing with your ears.
Okay, yeah.
I think we really need to explain Elmer.
In terms of... I told you, he's literally a veiny, like, dick brain.
He's like a purple dick brain.
And he opens his mouth and he has, like, these weird multiple sets of fangs and then this, like, little needle-sized, like, thing that comes out of his mouth and goes into the back of Brian's neck and it gives him juice.
Gives him the juice.
How Cronenbergian was that whole mechanic? I thought, if nothing else, this movie succeeded at melding together the, like, alien vibes and mechanics with, like, David Cronenberg, which is an interesting combination that I wouldn't have really thought of, but...
Yeah, that's kind of true. Like, the inside of his mouth kind of looks like... Is it a xenomorph? Yeah. It kind of does. That's interesting.
Gives you that feel.
Yeah. Aylmer also, for some reason, has to live in, like, either a tub with water or, like, buckets of water. I don't remember if that's ever addressed why.
It is absolutely not.
Okay. I was gonna say.
Because I was waiting for it to be addressed the entire movie, and I was let down. You let me down, Frankenhooker.
It doesn't need to be addressed. I think, if anything, to me, what Elmer proves is, yet again, what we say every time we review any of these movies, it seems, is just not the endearing, but the awesome things that can happen for your film when actual practical effects are used.
Yes. I love practical effects so much more than
And Elmer is a terrible practical effect. Like, he's not well done, but it's still amazing.
I mean, I think it's amazing because of what he's like because he's not well done.
Oh yeah, 100%.
I do love his voice, because it's just like, hey, Brian.
The voice was actually perhaps the best part of him, because the voice was actually incredibly well done, and it was just so it was like jarring disconnect from what it looked like.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, I think when most people, if they have an idea what the movie's about and they turn it on, I mean, you're expecting, I feel like, a movie about, like, this alien that's, you know, giving you juice and making you hallucinate, and it's eating brains and stuff. But I feel like that's just kind of surface level of the movie, where really what we're dealing with in this entire movie is brothers that want to fuck other brothers' girlfriends.
Oh my. Yeah, that's a deep
And I'm
going
to push that one step forward and say that I thought there was a moment of frisson between the two of them. I didn't realize they were brothers, and I thought they were I thought they were maybe gonna make out. And I'm like, I sensed some homoerotic tension, and then I'm like, oh, you're his brother. Never mind.
Well, it's actually interesting because I took notes of the books that I had seen around, like, several different scenes. And
I tried to. That's so funny.
And really, it's like the same books multiple times. So let me give you the 3 titles I caught multiple times, and let me know what you think. So 1, this was very prominent, Liquid Pain.
Oh.
That's like the juice.
The juice.
It's painful to his soul. Sodom Today.
Oh, okay, here we go.
Yeah. And then the other
Here we
one's
go.
The Sex Killers. I mean, these are definitely intentionally picked books.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, well, and I'm thinking about, like, that, like, the shower scene where he's in that weird, like, I guess it's, what's it supposed to be? It's like a hotel, but it's more like a hostel or something.
It looks
It's like a Y or something, right?
It looks like that Cecil Hotel thing in the documentary.
Yeah, that's right. LA. I'm thinking about, like, the scene where he, like, goes in the showers and there's just, like... It's like the buff.
The, like, bodybuilder just soaping himself down and casually.
I mean, I didn't really think bodybuilder. I was like, this guy definitely looks like
he looks like he's from Cruising.
He'd be like a gay porn
totally.
star.
Yeah, but, like, just like his back looked very, like massively defined, and maybe because the camera just lingered on his back for like 5 solid minutes while he sort of like
soaped him
haphazardly soaped it up.
He reminds me of someone that would be at that bar in Cruising.
Yeah.
The leather bar.
He would definitely be hitting up Al Pacino.
But now I'm wondering, what would his color hanky be?
What's
that guy
what
into?
Is it?
That guy's into exhibitionism. You could tell that he was totally getting his rocks off to whatever our main character's name is, pasty white ass being there, Brian, yeah.
I mean, I will say, for how that, like, Y hostel looked, I would definitely not be getting in those showers.
No.
It was absolutely disgusting in the rooms where that's Cockroach City.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm sorry, I don't think they were wearing flip-flops either, so you know they got infections.
Yeah, there's definitely infections going on there.
Wait, because that guy didn't die, right?
No.
It was another guy.
Yeah.
Yes, it was the guy on the toilet, that's right.
The guy in the toilet.
Oh, yeah.
The poor guy in the toilet minding his own business. Meanwhile, cruising is happening in the shower. That's why he didn't die.
That's why he didn't die.
He was like, there was that frisson of attraction, so the dick didn't go after him. He spared him.
Yeah, spared.
Aylmer spared him. Speared him, I was about to say. They wish they speared him. If you catch my drift.
And I mean, I guess an interesting fact about the whole movie is, you know, we talk about like the juice and train spotting and all this. So I did see that Frank Henenlotter wrote it about his experience because he was addicted to cocaine.
Okay.
And then he got clean, and he said he wrote this film as like a metaphor about him.
It was sledgehammer subtle.
Yeah.
Very sledgehammer subtle.
I love the, totally unrelated to like his addiction, but I love the commitment that the old lady has when she's screaming. She's just like,
oh my god, at the beginning especially. Actually, any of the times, whenever she's on screen, all she does is scream.
I know.
They were really giving it all they had in the performance.
Yes.
They were loving every ounce of...
Oh yeah, they were like, we have 2 scenes and we are gonna like just fucking tear the shit out of them with our dentures. Like,
and when Elmer's eating her brain, it lasts for so
long,
and you think it's done and it's not. And it's just, you know, it's...
That's like the beginning, too. She just sits on the floor and there's, like, all their stuff that they've just, like, randomly, like, knocked on the floor, even though some of it Aylmer couldn't possibly be hiding under. And then
they were like
just,
lifting up the teacups, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck are you looking for? There's no way a human being is in there.
And she's just on the floor with all this shit around her and being like, ah! Like, for
they did.
what seems like a long time.
It goes on for an uncomfortably long period of time.
I am kind of curious about, we brought up his younger brother basically sleeping with his girlfriend after.
And by basically, you mean they did.
I mean, yeah, they did.
Yeah, they legit fuck.
Yeah.
So, what's the acceptable amount of time that happens? Because in the movie logic, he's only missing for like 12 hours or something. Like, it's like a day. And then basically she's like, well, I guess I'm sleeping with your brother now.
To be fair, he did put like 5 locks on his door, so I think that was like, we're done.
And he dumped her at the dinner.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes, that is true. He did actually dump her.
I love that scene.
I like when
with
it's like the
breathing
brains.
The breathing brains on the plate.
I love how he was gonna dump her, but still ordered food first.
Yeah.
Knowing that he was gonna dump her, and, it clearly being addicted and...
I love how they have sex, the brother and her, and then she immediately goes into Brian's room and she's like, Brian, blah, 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 blah. And like, oh, I feel so bad for you. And she's like, literally 5 minutes later, he's in there like, or 5 minutes before, he's like there listening to her have sex with his brother. Awkward.
And he was oddly okay with it. It was a little.
Well,
little
I think
creepy.
he was
Well, that
just
just
kind of
lends
fucked up
weight
on
to my
drugs.
theory.
Yeah, maybe.
But also that.
Let's be realistic. She was trying to get her 2 brothers at the same time going on.
She was trying for the old Eiffel Tower.
Oh my god.
Do you get extra points if they're related?
We're
I'm fired. See ya. This is my last episode. I'm going out with a bang.
Literally.
I thought the episode that would get us canceled would be when we finally do a Serbian film. Little did I know it'd be brain damage.
It was brain damage. Brain damage just pushed us over the edge.
I will say, for as silly as the movie is, I was kind of like, even the like second, third time I've seen this, I was kind of like a little emotional when he like kills her on the subway.
It's sad.
Like, even though I'm like, I hate her and I'm kind of like, well, you did like screw his brother and now you're trying to get back with him after you just listened to you screw his brother.
Yeah.
Like, I did feel like there was some emotion in there. I was like, oh, this is like kind of impressive that it can bring this emotion out with how silly it is.
In that scene, I loved the camera, I don't know, of when she would like look away when they're on the subway,
effect,
and the effect of him be like blue, like his face. You can't see me
like
do
Elmer's
the effect.
coming out of his
That was
mouth.
like the one CG effect they used that whole movie.
Yeah, I like that. I thought that
I thought that looked really
cool.
good.
Other than the weird, hallucination crap. Never mind. Anyway, it was the one time they used CG for the monster, I guess.
Yeah. I will say, as someone that, is kind of getting mentally drained on the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the DC Cinematic Universe, I really am saddened that we didn't get the Henenlotter universe. Because if,
oh, yeah, basket case.
Yeah, hopefully the listeners noticed that the subway scene, we got a cameo from the lead guy of Basket Case with the basket. It was 100% intentional. Like, I had saw that he was just like, it's kind of a wink.
How would it be not intentional?
Well, I mean,
let's get this main actor guy from my other film with the basket, him dressed up in the role, and it's a complete like coincidence.
I don't know what I might in my life be more excited for. I don't even know if I was that excited for, like, Freddy versus Jason as I was for that little cameo. Like, even the third time, I was just smiling because I'm like, oh, shit, it's the basket case guy. They do, like, a great job, just that whole scene, like, the eye contact, and they just, like, they kind of both know that they both have, like, this, like, secret. And, yeah, why we didn't get, like, a basket case, versus brain damage, I don't know. Xylia hasn't seen Basket Case.
I haven't.
So, I mean, definitely at some point we'll have to watch it. Classic.
Oh, it'll make its way into the rotation here for sure.
Also, I think it's worth bringing up, because I'm sure it's probably most everybody's favorite scene listening, Elmer singing.
Oh, yeah.
And the song is called Elmer's Song.
Yeah, it's
That's just how fabulous and fantastic this movie is. Is that there's like...
I would be friends with Elmer.
Elmer's the man.
No, it's Elmer.
Elmer, like an ailment.
Like an ailment. AYLMER.
But if he's thinking of it as AIL, whatever gets him to say
Same
it, right?
thing, yeah.
But since you brought up the song, we do need to point out the sickening track that gets played at that club.
Oh, yes.
Because it instantly became my everything, and it is called... One second. It's called Corruption. It's by this band called the Swimming Pool Q's.
Oh, I'll have to put that on the list.
The letter Q. And it's actually available on Spotify. It's the only song other than Aylmer's song that is in the movie. And I have not been able to stop thinking about it since the movie ended. And I didn't have a whole lot of time to listen to it on repeat, but I will. I'm going to add it to all my playlists. And I did a little bit of searching, and they actually put out a limited edition vinyl run of it a couple years ago, so it's kind of good enough and got that weird status to get a boutique vinyl run, which I think is impressive.
This is definitely one of those movies that I'm really surprised that I hadn't seen before, just because the internet culture on it, I always see random people talk about it, so I was very surprised. This was my first time seeing it.
Also, I have to say, I have next to my note about the scene in the junkyard, I said, score, yes. Which means that I liked whatever was playing there. It's a great score, or / soundtrack.
Yeah, it wasn't bad overall. I gotta say, it was better than it had any right to be, to be honest.
It's true.
This movie was it was ridiculous. It was just, the whole thing's ridiculous.
And it's a movie that I literally, every time, I've seen it 3 times now, and I like it the same every time. You know what I maybe even better. I don't like it less, which is the main thing.
Now, kind of the last point I wanted to bring up about it, I don't know what else you guys have to talk about. I'm always a big one for pacing. I thought this was, very well paced, too. It's clocks in, it's pretty short. I think it's only, an hour and 20?
It's not very long.
And, I was engaged the entire time. We get to Elmer pretty much right away. So, I enjoyed, there's no, build up or exposition.
No, you're right, there's no lag, right?
And even though we don't get questions answered, what's with the buckets, of water? Why does he have to be in water? By the middle of this movie, you don't care. You're just I just want Elmer all the time.
Yes, well, you're not, looking for plot holes here. It's just one giant gaping chasm.
So while I was looking up Elmer's tune, I realized that there's a wiki fandom under the villains section, and Elmer is in it. Would you like to hear some of his powers / skills and also hobbies?
Of course.
So, his occupation is Brian's symbiotic parasite.
I'm glad that they noted that it was symbiotic, because I actually wrote a note saying, symbiosis, right?
His powers / skills are intelligence, sharp teeth, grasping mouth tentacles, addictive brain liquid, parasitism, and manipulation. His hobbies are eating human brains and extracting liquid into Brian's brain.
That's a hobby.
Goals are kill as many humans as he can and eat their brains, and in parentheses, failed.
I'm living for this.
Crimes, mass murder, and drug dealing.
Drug dealing.
And the type of villain he is a corrupting parasite.
I love that.
I'll have to read the rest later on post recording. But
yeah, I enjoy that. I'm glad that we can really get deep into his life.
Yeah.
His issues. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's a pretty wacky film. Yeah, did you guys have other points about it you wanted to talk about?
Apparently, the guy who did the voice for him, Aylmer, was best known for being a television horror host.
Yeah, I'd read that somewhere. He did the kind of television horror
Yeah, he has that kind of voice. Like, I feel like it was a very professional voice-over job.
Yeah, definitely like some sort of voice actor.
Yeah.
It's a wild ride. Do you guys have any more points you wanted to talk about, or?
So the Elmer's Tune song is actually a 1941 jazz standard by the late Glenn Miller.
Oh,
That's a Glenn Miller song. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
apparently. I'll have to listen to that later on.
Maybe I've got that. I have some Glenn Miller vinyl.
Isn't there a band called the Glenn Miller Band?
Yes.
Yeah, is it a different person? Is it a different
No.
band?
No.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Not whatsoever. Not
It's a
whatsoever.
different person?
No, it's same person.
Oh, okay, same person. Okay.
Same person.
Okay.
It's like Patti Smith, the Patti Smith Band. You know?
Oh, okay. I thought the Glenn Miller Band was like older, like newer than 1941, but what
I
do
think you're
know?
thinking of Steve Miller.
Maybe.
Yeah, I think that's who she's thinking about too. Well, are you guys comfortable going to rating this?
Yes.
Xylia, you're the seasoned brain damage fan.
So for me, obviously, it's a sleigh.
Sorry. Go ahead.
What? I love it. I love Aylmer. I love the colors. I love the score. I love everything about it. It's so cheesy, but it's actually the movie that made me realize I really like cheesy 80s horror movies.
Welcome to the dark side.
Yeah,
For this, we truly give thanks. Like, truly.
Every time I watch it, it's an enjoyable experience, and it's a sleigh for me.
It's a sleigh. I'll go next. So I am gonna also give it a sleigh. I didn't think I was gonna give it a sleigh, but like I said, every time I watch it, I like it more. I think it has so much heart for such a low budget film. I really enjoyed looking at the little facts about it, such as the only reason they named the lead character Brian was because his name was so close to brain. And they thought,
oh my god!
And they were just like, "Oh yeah, people think it's like brain."
Can I tell you a side note?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was 8. I went to see the Backstreet Boys, and my cousin got tickets really close to the stage, and I had the nosebleed section to the nth degree, and so I made a bracelet for Brian in the Backstreet Boys, but it actually said brain, and I asked her to throw it up on stage.
He probably has a whole room in his house of all of the things that got thrown up on the stage that said brain, and he's got probably a statue of a brain in there, and it's
I don't know why I put brain. I think it was an oversight, but
that's ridiculous.
There was no supervision of your crafting, clearly.
No.
I love how your mom was just let's let her make her own mistakes.
Looks good.
Yeah. She wanted to be supportive. I love it.
But like I said, I mean, it's little things like that. I think it's really endearing. I think Aylmer. I don't think I'll ever be able to say it properly.
Aylmer Fudd.
I think he's got to be one of my new favorite villains of all time. Like I said, I wish we had that, shared universe more of him and Basket Case. But yeah, I just really liked it. I think this is a fun movie. This is a real fun movie, by yourself, with people drinking. Anytime you could watch this, and it's fun and it's super funny. And this is my kind of trash. So yeah, slay, Mike.
It is your kind of trash. You're absolutely right about that.
I'm sensing a Killer Clown's disappointment.
No, actually. I will sort of veer in the other direction. Well, not veer. I will pull slightly over to the shoulder of the road in the other direction. I'll give it an okay. No, you know what? I keep thinking. Okay, no. Let me go back. I was gonna give it an okay. When I first started recording this episode, I had okay in my notes. But listening to you guys talk about it and talking about it with you has sort of like melted me to it a little bit more. So I'll give it a yay because it was very fun. I went into this movie with absolute like sub killer clowns from outer space expectations.
What?
Like they were just, the bar was set like subterranean. Like, you know, there was no bar.
So offensive.
And I actually enjoyed a lot of parts of it when I was watching it, and the more I got into it, at first I was like, oh my god, this fucking garbage. But the more I got into it, like, the more ludicrous and absurd it was, and the more I enjoyed it, because they weren't taking it seriously at all, but also there were some really well done elements of it, so that it's like, it wasn't without merit, other than just being absurd. Like... But I will say I was disappointed. One of the reasons why I was only going to give it an okay is because it wasn't psychedelic enough for me. I was fully expecting like an absolute like mind fuck, and I think that it had that potential, and they just didn't push that element of it enough.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
You know, so I feel like that really held it back. That and the $2 budget. And, you know, but it was, as you guys said, it was really enjoyable, and I gotta say, like, I'm gonna watch it again, and I'm gonna have to pick who I show it to, but I definitely want to show it to somebody, like, next time we're able to, like, watch movies as a group.
Yes.
We'll have to get into the budget game now. We keep talking about low
well,
budget.
Mike already said $2.
That's honestly, stuff. To put that in, Bob, I bid $1. No, $2.
So, for you new listeners, the budget game is where Mike and Xylia guess how much the movie cost to made, and then I tell them if they're right or wrong. That's pretty much all that really happens. So for this, there's only one, and I only know how much it cost. I don't know. I looked at multiple places. Nowhere could tell me how much this movie made. But I mean, it's gonna, you know, probably not much in a theater, I would say. I'd say it made
it's like only recently taking up traction.
Yeah, and I mean, it's big enough. It has an Arrow release. I ordered it this month. It was on 50% off sale on unobstructedview.com, so I had to pick it up. But I do know how much it cost. So, Xylia, we'll start with you. How much do you think this film cost?
I think like $100,000.
$100,000. 1988 could be reasonable. How about you, Mike?
I'll tip my hat to $5,000.
To $5,000. Are both of you sitting down?
Yes.
So, the estimated cost of filming this movie, this majestic piece of cinema, $900,000.
Are you shitting me?
How?
So, interesting fact when I looked this up. So, his original cut of it, which wasn't full movie length, it essentially would have been a short film, originally costed $66,000. And then he basically got the money and fundraised to get the money to then blow the movie out and make it a bigger film.
Kickstarter before Kickstarter.
Kickstarter before
Yeah,
Kickstarter.
for sure.
So this was under $1 million.
Okay.
So like I said, I don't know how much.
Listen,
it made.
the 5,000 was still a troll, obviously.
But yeah. So that is all we have for the budget game. Next, we do have to do our shameless promotions. So we talked about Elmer's song, the other amazing song. What was it, Mike? Corruption, yes. Corruption.
Yep. Swimming pool cues.
Yeah, we are going to make sure that stuff is added on Spotify to the It Slays Podcast Horrific playlist. Go get your, soundtrack for all you horror hounds.
Yep.
Your yearly soundtrack. I listen to it in the car when I want to get my spooks on. Rock out with your Elmer out.
Oh, dear God.
Just don't pick any...
End me now, please.
Just don't pick any girls up in the club. Also, make sure to follow us on all social media. It Slays Podcast. If you enjoy the show and you're thinking to yourself, hey, I'd really like to wear these guys' face on my chest. Go to redbubble.com/it Slays Podcast /shop, I believe. And you can buy a t-shirt or a tote bag or, I don't know, baby clothes, anything that has our cute mugs on it. If you like what you hear or you don't like what you hear, go to iTunes, give us a review, and we will read it on the podcast. Plus it helps us, get found in the sea of horror podcasts. And lastly, if you enjoy what you hear and you want to help financially support, the money doesn't really go to us. It pays for, our hosting, our equipment, upgrading equipment, all that kind of stuff, and just us able to do more and better things for you guys. Go to patreon.com/itslayspodcast. Check out the tiers. Anything from picking what movie we have to review to getting a t-shirt. So lots of cool stuff that you can get. So the only thing left is to let you know what our next film is. And Mike,
take it away.
Okay, so my choice for our next movie is 1971's Let's Scare Jessica to Death.
I have definitely heard of this, and I have never seen it, though. So I am actually very excited to watch this.
Me too. I've never heard of it, but I'm sure it's...
If it's as good as Laura Mars, I'll be happy.
Rowan
It's going to have a vibe, for sure. I think it's a vibe that you will enjoy.
I always enjoy your vibe, Mike.
Oh, thank you. I've been working on it.
But I think that is everything for this episode. As always, thank you for supporting, thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. I am your humble host, Rowan.
Bye, it's Xylia.
It's Mike. See ya.
See you later.
Bye.
We're going to expand our weekly video segment to take you into the back shelves of your local video store, back where it says horror videos, and where kids are devouring some awful films that we call the video nasties.
Are you freebasing? Inquiring minds want to know.
I have to break free from this culture of mechanical reproductions and the thick incrustations dying on the surface.
From the prime time, bitch!
The pain, I can assure you, will be exquisite. As for our deaths, come with me and be immortal.
We have such sights to show you.
We've got to return some videotapes.